Hey, YouTube. I keep hearing a lot of stories about near death experiences, and there's been a few times in my life where I should have died. First time I was 4 or 5 years old, didn't know how to swim. My my nana and my cousin had taken my brother and I uh, to a swimming pool, and my cousin said, "Okay, Darren, get on my back, put your arms around me, and don't let go." She was in the middle of the pool, and what do? I let go, and I sink like a rock to the bottom. I I remember inhaling the water, and a few seconds later, I blacked out. I don't remember nothing until I woke up on the side of the pool. And in the movies, you see people drowning, and then um, people are pushing on their chest to get the water out, whatever, and they wake up, sit up immediately, and everything's fine. No, that ain't it. uh, I don't know how long I was out, but i was laying I was laying on the ground, and my nana said, Darren, just lay there, rest, relax. And when I when I was completely out of it, everything was completely black. And I didn't know nothing about near death experience back then. Hell, that was let's see, 1972, 1973, somewhere around there. Um, then uh, almost drowned another time, and same thing, black. I've never been a strong swimmer. Well, I can't say never. When I was a teenager, I could swim underwater from one end of a pool to the other and back, holding my breath underwater the whole time. Um, the oh, when I, when I was born, or soon after I was born, I can't remember the name of the exact um, problem, but basically what it was is uh, when you eat, there's a muscle that contracts to let the food down. Well, that muscle, or whatever it is, um, was pushing the food back up. Um, my mom looked at, at, at my towards my crib one night, saw a dark shadow, dark cloud above my crib. True story. Um, and she knew she had to take me to the hospital. So um, soon after that, she took me to the hospital, and this was 1967. Soon, and so they pretty much operated on me immediately. I have a big old scar on the side of my stomach to prove it. I'm not going to show it on YouTube. Um, and from what she said, I was in the hospital for a month and a half or so. And after she got me home, um, I was in my crib or bassinet. I don't know exactly what it was. And she was looking in that direction and she saw a white cloud above me. Now she told me that she thinks that the black cloud meant that I was going to die and the white cloud, that I was going to live. Now, granted, I was only what, weeks, maybe a month old, I don't know. And so of course, I wouldn't remember if I had a near death experience back then. Which brings me to my latest. It was June of 2019. Um, I was living in Kellogg, Idaho at the time. Beautiful little town. I loved it. Um, and I'd been drinking that day, and I was living in a motel at the time. And so me and several other guys have been drinking all day. And after several hours, excuse me, after several hours, um, I decided to go to my room. Well, soon after I got to my room, everything started spinning. I was throwing up. And I knew, yeah, I was drunk, but I knew there was something else that um, wasn't right. Now, okay, I admit someone had given me let me take a drag off their pipe of medical marijuana, let's say. And, I was just going to lay down, go to sleep. And then I was talking to my girlfriend at the time, and she said, "You need to go to the ER." I said, "All right." So I called 911. Ambulance came and got me. And the idiots took the long way to the frickin' hospital. Now, I was still conscious when we got to the hospital, and about 10 minutes, 5, maybe 10 minutes later, one of the nurses was asking me questions, and she said, "You're going to be okay. We're going to take care of you." Real sweet young lady. And uh, let's see. So at one point, I said, "Let me give you my girlfriend's number, and please, if anything happens, please call her." So less than a minute after that, I was out. I don't remember anything after that. And I woke up probably about, I don't know, 5, 6 in the morning. Oh, I take that back. They transferred me from that hospital to the hospital in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And I remember being on a gurney. They were rolling me down the hall. I woke up, said, "I'm going to puke." I threw up, and I blacked out again just immediately after that. I had 2 freaking heart attacks that night, widowmakers. Um, they put a stent in me, and the whole time I was blacked out. It's basically what it was, just nothing but darkness. And I believe in God. I know He exists, and you know, if He didn't exist, I probably would have died as a baby. Um, but I keep hearing stories about how people have this memory or they die and they see Jesus, they see heaven, they see relatives. I don't understand how that could be. Nothing will change my mind about God. I don't care what you say. If you don't believe in God, that's on you. I just hope and pray that you find, um, you know, a way to realize that he did exist, he still exists. I've spoken in tongues, um, you know, and science cannot explain speaking in tongues. I only speak one language. I was speaking in some sort of Middle Eastern language. I I don't know what I said, and um, but the only thing I know is that it was an act of God. I was about 14, 15, somewhere around there. But, you know, nobody can explain scientifically um, how speaking in tongues works. Now, um, you hear people, all of a sudden they're speaking English, then all of a sudden they're speaking in tongues, and they go back to English. It doesn't work like that. Once you start speaking in tongues, it's constant. You can't control it like they do. And, so yeah, between me almost dying 3 times in my life and, um, um, and speaking in tongues, you can't tell me God doesn't exist. I know he does. And I just hope and pray that for you non-believers, um, you'll look into this and realize that God is real. And there's a lot of things that have been found in the Middle East which supports what the Bible says. And you may say, oh, well, the flood didn't exist, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, you know what? Then why are they finding um, seashells and other stuff in mountains, in the deserts? There was a global flood. There's no other way to explain it than the biblical account. Now, people come up with all sorts of crazy garbage about it, but it's because they don't want to admit that, okay, yeah, there was a global flood, it was Noah's Ark, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, um, open your mind. Don't just be focused on what science says. Open your mind and do your own research. Science isn't always right. So, but anyway, I didn't mean to go off track on that, but I had to put that in there. But anyway, with me seeing nothing but darkness when I've almost died, what do y'all think about that? I believe in God with all my heart. I know He exists. And I've asked Him into my heart. I'm not perfect. I smoke, I drink, I cuss. Oh, I can cuss up a storm, especially when I've been drinking. Oh, yeah. Well, considering I'm a old Marine, yeah, it's pretty much guaranteed. But yeah, let me know what you think about me seeing nothing but darkness. I didn't see anything, and I didn't even know I was dead. Now, the doctor said that I wouldn't, if I didn't quit smoking, I'd be dead in 3 to 5 years. If I did quit smoking, it would be 5 to 7 years. Well, here it is 7 years over, just over 7 years later. I'm still alive. Sometimes I wish that God would still take me home. At the same time, I have a great girlfriend, love her to death. And, I'm hoping that God will keep me around at least another 5 to 10 years for her. I'm hoping. I'd love to marry her, but I don't know if it'll happen. But anyway, let me know what you think about me seeing nothing but darkness when I've died. What does it mean? But anyway, let me know in the comments. Later, y'all.